There are games with bigger playoff implications, the Falcons-Saints matchup chief among them, but nothing in Week 16 of the NFL season can match the drama of the Seattle Seahawks and the Dallas Cowboys battling to remain relevant in the NFC. Some divisions will be decided and the playoff picture will come more into focus in what should be an entertaining holiday weekend of football. Here are our picks against the spread. Last week's record against the spread, 9-4-2 overall record, 116-99-8 Seahawks at Cowboys, 4:25 p.m., Fox line, Cowboys by 5. Running back Ezekiel Elliott did not want to talk about the time he spent away from the Cowboys, 8-6. Thanks to a 6-game suspension after a year-long investigation into domestic violence accusations. All that is really known is that he went to Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, and kept in shape. His teammates initially fell apart, then figured things out. They were 3-3 without him. Elliott returns to a team that is clinging to a 9% chance of making the playoffs, according to the Upshots playoff simulator. The Cowboys, though, expect that the reunification of Elliott and Dak Prescott will mean they will win their final 2 games. Even if they do, beating the Seahawks, 8-6, 14% playoff chance, and the Eagles, a wild card entry would require leapfrogging the Falcons and the Lions. Coach Jason Garrett was cagey about how involved Elliott would be in the offense. But Elliott seems to thrive with more work, and it would not be a surprise to see him carry the ball 25 times or more. In a productive 4-game stretch leading up to his suspension, he averaged 28.8 carries a game and scored 6 total touchdowns as Dallas was 4-0. The Seahawks are coming off a brutal loss to the Rams that seemed like a nail in their coffin. They were trying to remain relevant after losing defensive backs Richard Sherman and Kem Chancellor for the season. Coach Pete Carroll was quick to point out that while a 42-7 loss was hard to look at, 2 weeks before that, Seattle beat the Eagles in a dominant effort. This is not easy at all, Carroll said when asked about the Cowboys game. 2 8-6 teams battling for it, and there's a lot at stake. Everything is on the line for both of us. Pick, Cowboys Falcons at Saints, 1 p.m., Fox line, Saints by 5.5. The Saints, 10-4. 93%, have dominated the discussion of the NFC South this season thanks to their running game and secondary finally living up to the talent of Drew Brees, their future Hall of Famer at quarterback. But even with their sterling record and their well-balanced approach, the Saints have yet to clinch the division, and will need help if they are going to do it this week. To summarize, New Orleans needs to beat the Falcons, 9-5, 83%, while Carolina loses to Tampa Bay. The former is fairly likely, while the latter seems like a stretch, so the division could easily come down to Week 17. Pick, Saints Jaguars at 4-9 ERS, 4:05 p.m., CBS line, Jaguars by 4.5. At a glance, this may seem like a comical mismatch. The Jaguars, 10-4, clinched playoff berth, have been one of the best teams in the NFL for most of the season. The 4.9 ERS, 4-10, eliminated, had a good chance to get the top pick in the 2018 draft just a few weeks ago. San Francisco does not technically have anything to play for, but it has become an intriguing team since acquiring Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback. The 4.9 ERS are 3-0 since Garoppolo, the former Patriots backup, began starting, and while Chicago, Houston, and Tennessee cannot compare to the Jaguars, they would have been expected to crush the youthful 4.9 ERS back when Brian Hoyer and CJ Beathard were under center. The Jaguars, though, have some real incentive to come away with a win. They would clinch the AFC South and stay alive for home field advantage throughout the playoffs. It's unlikely the 4.9 ERS can match that intensity, even with Garoppolo. Pick, Jaguars Rams at Titans, 1 p.m., Fox line, Rams by 6.5. The ascension of the Rams, 10-4, 98%, from last season has been so swift and effective that they find themselves as heavy road favorites against a team projected to make the playoffs. It is not hard to figure out where the confidence comes from, as Jared Goff and Todd Gurley put on a show nearly every week, posting some outrageous victories while averaging an N.F.L leading 31.3 points a game. The Titans, 8-6, 66%, have persevered through plenty of issues, but they may end up lost in a pack of teams vying for the 2 wild cards in the AFC, if they cannot find a way to beat Los Angeles. Pick, Rams Bills at Patriots, 1 p.m., CBS line, Patriots by 1-2. Just a typical matchup between a pair of teams in line for playoff spots in the AFC. Sure, the Bills, 8-6, 43%, have been outscored by 42 points this season and had a weird meltdown where they tried and failed to bench their starting quarterback, but at least for this week they are simply rubbing shoulders with their playoff-bound peers, the Patriots, 11-3, clinched AFC East. 2 weeks ago, New England beat Buffalo 23-3, and that was in Buffalo. With home field advantage in the playoffs still in doubt, and the Patriots gunning for a win in Foxborough, the Bills' playoff hopes will be collateral damage. Pick, Patriots-Vikings at Packers, 8:30 p.m. Saturday, NBC line, Vikings by 9. The window is starting to close for the Vikings, 11-3, clinched NFC North, to have home field advantage throughout the playoffs in the same season that their stadium is hosting the Super Bowl. They trail Philadelphia by a game, and the Eagles held strong in Week 15 even without quarterback Carson Wentz. First things first, Minnesota has to keep winning, which should be easier than expected since the Packers, 7-7, eliminated, shut Aaron Rodgers down for the season once they were officially eliminated from playoff contention. It will be cold at Lambeau Field, and the Packers will try to use that to their advantage, but Minnesota has the front seven, led by Everson Griffin and Linval Joseph, to make Brett Hundley sweat on a 1-degree day, and it has the secondary to make Hundley pay for any mistakes. Pick, Vikings-Buccaneers at Panthers, 1 p.m., Fox line, Panthers by 1-0. Panthers, 10-4, 91%, have had plenty of off-field trouble this year, but their path to the playoffs on the field is incredibly straightforward: beat the Buccaneers, 4-10, eliminated, or have Dallas and Seattle tie. Winning against Tampa Bay, at home, seems much simpler, and the Panthers are certainly capable of doing it, even with Thomas Davis, one of their top linebackers, suspended for a hit he delivered in Week 15. There is a fear, though, that Cam Newton and the offense will not push hard enough to justify the 10-point spread. Pick, Buccaneers-Dolphins at Chiefs, 1 p.m., CBS line, Chiefs by 10.5. The Dolphins, 6-8, 3%, have wins this season against New England and Atlanta, but they have losses against Oakland and Tampa Bay. Figuring out the true value of this team is something that will not happen until next year, when Ryan Tannehill is ready to return at quarterback. Against the Chiefs, 8-6, 95%, there is no realistic reason to think Miami will have a chance, especially since Kansas City can secure a division title with a win. Miami just might make things close, even if the Chiefs take care of business and win. Pick: Dolphins Colts at Ravens, 4:30 p.m. Saturday, NFL Network line, Ravens by 13.5. The Ravens, 8-6, 80%, are sitting fairly pretty in terms of postseason prospects despite being the number 7 seed in a field that sends 6 teams to the playoffs. The confidence that it will all work out comes from the team ahead of them, Buffalo, having found ways not to make the playoffs every year since 1999. The fact that the Bills are playing New England is just icing on the cake. Baltimore, though, needs to keep winning, which should not be too difficult against the Colts, 3-11, eliminated. Winning is one thing, but Baltimore probably can't justify the enormous points spread. Pick: Colts Chargers at Jets, 1 p.m., CBS line, Chargers by 6.5. The Chargers, 7-7, 13%, made a nice little run at the AFC West, but a loss to Kansas City in Week 15 all but crushed that dream. Luckily they play in the AFC, where the bar for playoff contention is very low, so they still have a chance to make it if they keep winning and Buffalo and Baltimore fade quickly. The Jets, 5-9, eliminated, though, are feisty at home, where they have a 6-1 record in terms of beating the points spread. The Chargers are likely to win, but even with Bryce Petty at quarterback it could be fairly close. Pick: Jets Giants at Cardinals, 4:25 p.m., Fox line, Cardinals by 3.5. One of only 3 games that start after 4 p.m. Eastern Time, on Christmas Eve. This one will require some serious devotion from fans for it to get much viewership. The Giants, 2-12, eliminated, have had a season notable only for how they disrespected a franchise icon, and the Cardinals, 6-8, eliminated, will go back to Drew Stanton at quarterback after having publicly flirted with the idea that Blaine Gabbert could be a solution going forward. Pick: Giants Browns at Bears, 1 p.m., CBS line, Bears by 6.5. If the Browns, 0-14, eliminated, are going to win a game this season, this would be the time to do it. They are facing the scrappy Bears, 4-10, eliminated, which will not help DeShone Kizer's propensity for turnovers, but this still figures to be a far better matchup for Cleveland than Pittsburgh will be in Week 17, especially if the Steelers are fighting for home field advantage throughout the playoffs. An 0-16 season would not be unprecedented, thanks to the 2008 Detroit Lions, but should Cleveland lose its 2 remaining games, its 2-season mark of 1-31 would be worse than the 2-30 mark that the Lions put up in 2008 and 2009. Pick: Browns-Lions at Bengals, 1 p.m., Fox line, Lions by 4.5. Despite plenty of twists and turns, the Lions, 8-6, 13%, are a game out of the N.F.C's second wildcard spot. Should they continue to win, and the Falcons falter, Detroit could end up making the playoffs for a second consecutive year for the first time since they qualified in 3 straight years from 1993 to 1995. The Bengals, 5-9, eliminated, will have some extra motivation in what appears to be Coach Marvin Lewis's final home game after 15 years with the team. That may let them stay close enough to beat the points spread, if not win outright. Pick Bengals Broncos at Redskins, 1 p.m., CBS line, Redskins by 3.5. There are no implications in this matchup of eliminated teams, but the Broncos, 5-9, can use the game as an on-the-job audition for how much money they want to throw at Kirk Cousins of the Redskins, 6-8, this off-season. Barring Washington's using the franchise tag on him for a third consecutive year, he may finally be allowed to test the open market. There are few teams that would benefit more from a player of his skill than Denver. That being said, Cousins has his work cut out for him against a Broncos defense that still has star-level players. Pick Redskins Steelers at Texans, 4:30 p.m., NBC line, Steelers by 9. The Steelers, 11-3, clinched, were a surviving the ground call away from beating the Patriots last weekend, which would have secured home field advantage throughout the playoffs. But it was determined that Jesse James did not hold on to what would have been a go-ahead touchdown catch. A few plays later, Ben Roethlisberger threw an interception that sealed Pittsburgh's fate. Rubbing some salt in the wound was the fact that the interception was thrown on a route in which Antonio Brown, the N.F.L's best wide receiver, would typically be receiving the ball, but Brown, who injured his calf earlier, was being evaluated at a hospital instead. The Steelers can still clinch a first-round bye with one more win. A loss or tie by Jacksonville would suffice as well, but New England holds a tiebreaker over them for home field advantage, so if they want that honor they will need some help. At least one loss by the Patriots. Against the Texans, 4-10, eliminated, the Steelers will be playing without Brown, who is hoping to return during the playoffs. To replace him, Pittsburgh will have to hope Juju Smith-Schuster, who has thrived this year despite being the N.F.L's youngest player, can replace some of Brown's production. The Steelers should win, but without Brown a spread of 9 points is too large. Pick Texans Raiders at Eagles, 8:30 p.m., ESPN line, Eagles by 8.5. Nick Foles had a statistical line worthy of Carson Wentz in his first start this season for the Eagles, 12-2, clinched NFC East and first-round bye. The former backup, asked to take over the N.F.C's top team when Wentz was lost for the season, threw for 238 yards and 4 touchdowns in a win over the Giants. It should probably be a bit troubling that Philadelphia was able to beat the hapless Giants by only 5 points, but it is hard to put too much blame for that on Foles, and he will try to secure home field advantage throughout the playoffs with a win over the Raiders, 6-8, 1%. Another 4-touchdown game is not realistic, but a return to form by the team's defense would make up most of the difference, even if a point spread of 8.5 points is at least a bit too high. Pick Raiders.